on the replay. As always, if you don't know, this is the Speak Easy podcast where we talk about the behind the scenes of the author and speaker journey. Now, I know you saw the title and some of you are like, wait, am I bankable? Am I able to make a couple dollars? Can I make a couple dollars when it comes to being the author or the speaker? Because guess what? There is no author, there is no speaker that wants to go into this and say, I want to be bankrupt and broke. That's not how we live. That's not how we live. And, it's interesting because in this journey, people have this idea of what the author and the speaker does all day. In your mind, the author and speaker literally lays around and does absolutely nothing all day. And then they do an event once a week and they make all of this money. And Oprah calls and has your book on her book list. And we are famous. Yes. No. Although we all wish that it could be that simple, there are some things that need to be in place in order for us to have a successful brand. Yes, you have a brand, because we always tell you here on the Speak Easy podcast that as the author, as a speaker, you are still an entrepreneur. No matter what, you are still the entrepreneur and must have an entrepreneur mindset. So with that being said, I have an amazing guest with me today. And she is the Bankable Diva. I love that.
No.
And so I have Danielle on with me today on the Speak Easy podcast. It's so interesting because, again, when we think about this journey as an author or speaker, how many people know of authors and speakers that in the beginning, when they had their book launch, everybody, grandmama and auntie and uncle, everybody bought the book and they were so proud of their baby. And then 3 months later, you ain't sold a book since.
No.
Ouch. That's painful. So we got some things that we'll be talking about. But to start us off, Danielle, why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself and then we'll dive right into today's topic.
Awesome. Okay, so first of all, I'm so happy to be here and speaking with you. But just a little bit about myself. My name is Dannielle S. Lewis. I am known as the Bankable Diva on social media and in the community. And I am the owner of Bankable Consulting and Coaching Firm, where I specialize in coaching and consulting individuals on how to make their business bankable, make money. And I do it through strategic planning, marketing, and operational training for their employees. But I am a 2-time author, and the second book is the book that made money. So when she's talking about the first time, the first time I didn't make anything. I literally was in the red. So, but the second book, I really took my time with branding and everything with it. And it's for entrepreneurs who are really fresh. And what I love about this book is the fact that it's not just for women. It's not just for men. It's really, even teens who want to become entrepreneurs can utilize this book and workbook to make sure that they grow whatever it is that they are passionate about into making money.
And so when we think about the author and the speaker, our passion is normally what we're speaking about or what we're writing about. But can I tell you, and I was guilty of this. Hi, my name is Hafiz. And in the beginning, I thought that I could just write a book and that the sales would come.
Same here. Same here.
Like, I think there needs to be, like, some of us have gone through some traumatic experiences and we need to have like a meeting of Authors Anonymous. Like,
minds. Yes, we
exactly. Because in the beginning, we don't get all of this great, juicy detail. Something that I love about the Speak Easy podcast is that the people that come on, they don't give you fluff. They don't tell you, oh, it was easy. It took me 3 hours. And then I was a best-selling author. And then Oprah called me up. No. They tell you that they spent some time on their couch on a couch for months trying to figure out an idea to even write about or come up with for their business, that they went and spoke at events for free and was putting money out of their pocket in order to go to events. So in that line, in that aspect, when somebody comes to you, Danielle, what is the first thing that you say to them that you want them to focus on?
I honestly want them to focus on why they're doing this. Because if you have no idea why you're getting ready to do this, you're setting yourself up for failure. Because nothing else is going to come from it. Like literally, you have to know why you're doing this. And honestly, I'm going to speak from my first book. The first time I wrote it, it was just because I was like, you know what? I see all these authors. I see all these people speaking, and I know they're getting paid. So I was like, let me go ahead and compile a book and go ahead and try to get out there and make money. So first book sold maybe about 50 copies. And if you know about anything about getting it out there published, those 50 copies literally may have been a drop in my bucket. So that did nothing for me. But figure out why you're doing it. When you have a passion behind it, you have something that you are really ready to speak on, and it comes from your heart. And not only that, but that you are knowledgeable about it. Because just by writing a book does not make you an expert in your field or an expert. But knowing your information will be the reason that people will get you and pay you to come and speak. That's what you have to figure out. Figure out why, and figure out something that you are knowledgeable about, because we can research and we can keep researching and researching, but if it's not something that you are passionate about, something that you are wholeheartedly ready to speak about and write about and get out there and talk about, you're not going to make money from it because you're going to get bored with it.
I've seen that happen so many times where people in the beginning, because this is the thing, and you'll see it too. For those of you that have seen it, if you're in the comments, even if you're catching this via a replay, by all means, put in the comments that you've seen it. There have been people that they're trend hoppers.
Yes.
And so whatever the trend is, that's what they're talking about. That's what they're writing about. Yes, I'm talking about this topic right now because this is what's important right now. So what happens when that topic is no longer important and you still got that book?
Right. And I mean, even if you are a history major or someone who speaks on history and something that you may think that other people feel is boring, but if you're knowledgeable about it and you are passionate about it, you can make it something that nobody else can make it. I preach on it all the time. No one can be you. So if you go out there with your heart in it and you know exactly what you're trying to say about it and you're knowledgeable about the subject, you can write that book because you don't know how many other people, that niche market that's looking for your book, that you can monopolize with that information.
You know what just popped in my head? So I am somebody that I'll watch Netflix. I watch documentaries and certain shows on there. And who has a show on Netflix? Bill Nye.
Yeah. Yes.
Bill Nye has been out since I was littler, y'all.
Yes. Bill Nye, that science guy. Yes.
Bill Nye is still rocking it, and he has not changed what he was doing.
No.
He has not gone off on the plug twice. He has not done any of that. He has stayed true to his niche, which has been science. And guess what? He has a show on Netflix talking about what? Science.
Because he's true to himself. He knows his information. Regardless if he does experiments in his kitchen or outside in the backyard, he's sticking with his niche. When you are in your zone, your area, nobody can touch you. No one can touch you because that's you. That's all you right there. And that's a part of your brand. And honestly, an author, regardless if someone is telling you you don't have to have a brand because you have a book, no, that's how you're going to get your book sold, when you have a brand.
That's right. And it speaks to so many different things because guess what? That's how you build legacy.
Yes.
That's how you continuously build legacy. I look at Bill Nye and literally what he's done. I look at Michelle and Barack Obama and the things that they've done after even leaving the White House. Guess what? They still are going out into the streets, and they still are going out and helping in the communities, and they haven't changed.
Not at all. And
they could have got out the White House and said,
you know what? Deuces. They could have, but honestly, I went to a conference with my husband in San Diego, California, and Barack Obama was actually speaking at the conference, and it's on talent, on the advanced talent and development. So he's still out there preaching on education, the same stuff he was preaching on and talking about in the community, because he is building his legacy. No one is going to forget him, even after he's long gone, because of his legacy.
Exactly. So I thought that was amazing to see them still doing so much and, you know, doing the different programs. I know they were doing quite a few things in Chicago, and it just, you literally, you're seeing them pop up and you're like, yeah, you could have been on vacation, a long one right now.
He deserved it. He deserved it.
After everything.
He's still out there. Michelle's still out there, like really just giving it their all, because they are building a legacy for generations and generations to come. And your book, like I tell anyone, your book will never disappear. Like literally, even if it's discontinued, people will still know you have a book. That is something you can pass on to generations and generations and generations. But you have to make sure it's a book that the generations are going to be proud of. Like they going, you have to make sure they understand that grandma and grandpa didn't just write this book because they were tired and sitting on the couch one day, but it was something they wanted to preach to generations to come. And that's going to be your legacy.
Exactly. Definitely. I know that we look at everybody that's, in the industry, and we look at the actors and the singers and the writers, and we kind of say, well, y'all can just have somebody write the book for you and put your name on it. And it would still sell copies because it has your name on it. Yeah, that's true. But when you get into the depths of what is actually in the book, when you start reading it, you're like, okay, no, I want to read your story. I want to know what you went through. I want to know the blood, sweat, the tears, the good, the bad, the ugly, because it's a guide.
Right.
It's a guide.
And that's, my book is titled The Guide for the New Businesswoman. So it's the business source. Literally, it's the guide for the new. And I'm not talking about just someone who is trying out to become a businesswoman. No, it's the new businesswoman, because we are not the same businesswomen our moms and our grandmothers were. We have so many other avenues that we can take to become successful, that you really need to understand all of those avenues to make them work for you. So yes, in the beginning, I tell my story. I tell you how I literally had repossession notes on my door, trying to come pick up my car, and how I could only have $1 and some odd cents my name, and I had to make sure I fed my son. So I'm telling you my story, but I'm also telling you how I went from there to where I am now. So I'm giving you that guide. And I know there are some people who bought the book that are still in that predicament, but just know that you have a guide that's going to help you from where you are to where you want to be, if you put in the work.
So I want to put this statement out there. Right now, we have all this stuff going on with all of this back and forth that was going on with Cardi B and Azalea. And, I find that it's interesting because we fought so hard for us to be literally, I'm going to be me. I'm going to show up exactly how I am. And then we show this instance where you have Cardi B who shows up exactly how she is, but you have somebody who literally has torn her all the way down. I mean, even to talking about how she looks without makeup. Like, really?
Right.
How important is it for you to be transparent in your brand?
Very important, because we are humans just like the next person. And I get it. Some people may not like who we are. Some people may, but there are people that are on our level who are going through the same things that we are going through. And what we're using our brand for is to really boost other people up, because people have to figure that you don't have to stay exactly where you are. You can be an author, you can be a speaker, you can travel the world, you can do everything that you see everyone else doing, and you can start where you are, right where you are. You literally don't have to stay in that predicament. So I feel like it is so extremely important for you to be transparent. And honestly, I was one of those people who didn't believe in transparency before I really got into public speaking and writing a book. I didn't believe in it because I was one of those who say, you know what, nobody needs to know my business. I don't need anybody in my business. This is all me. But once I figured that my brain actually grew once I became transparent and I showed people who I really was, they were able to latch on to me, because like we were speaking about earlier, your brand is not just your logo. It's not your website. It's not even your social media site. It's how the customer or client perceives you. So if you perceive me to be somebody that's hiding something from you, then that's what you're going to get from my brand. But if you feel like I'm open and honest with you, then you have no problem with trusting who I
am. And we know that everybody always knows, because we always throw it out there. People buy from who they know, like, and trust.
Yes. Yes. Yes.
People buy from who they know, like, and trust. I found that when I rebranded in 2016, when I first started out in 2014, it was, first and foremost, I was behind the scenes. I was not the face of anything. I was the motivator. I was the virtual assistant. I was the social media management. I was behind the scenes and everything. And when I rebranded in 2016 and opportunities started arising for me to come and be the forefront, it was like, you want this one? You want her? You sure? I mean, there wasn't nobody else. Y'all couldn't have got somebody. I can help you find somebody else. You sure that you want me? And it was because I had gone through the homelessness. I had gone through the molestation. I had gone through the divorce. I had gone through being a single mother, raising, children. And when you're looking around, you're like, people want me to speak up? Why? Because we never.
So many people going through what you've been through. There are so many people going through what you went through. And that's the same thing I will always tell myself. No, I don't want to share. I just want to be in the back. Let me help other people become in the front. But no one has my story. No one has my story. No one has been through what I went through like I went through it. So my story, your story, anyone who has a story, which means everybody, because unless you were born with that silver spoon in your mouth, and even those, they have a story. They have a story. So everyone has a story, and you can write that out, because you never know who is going through it. And I have a client now who is going through a divorce, and she's like, I don't want to speak about that. I don't want to talk about it. But you have no idea how many women, how many, even men, you can help just by telling your story.
And what a story it has been. Because the story doesn't end. So there's always something more to add to the story. I know on my live streams where I go live this morning, I was in tears this morning because I was sharing some things, and people were inboxing me afterwards. Thank you so much for being transparent. Thank you for sharing the story. I've really been going through X, Y, and Z, and I kind of feel like I don't really have anybody I can talk to. Thank you for being that person. And even when I rebranded and I looked at what I was going to be doing with helping women who had gone through abuse, literally, it was from the conversation I had with my daughter, and the first time I had ever told her that I had been molested as well. And the empowerment it gave not only me, but it gave her. I said, There's women out there that need that.
Right.
Sometimes it's that thing that rubs you the wrong way that becomes the brand, that becomes the passion and the purpose.
That one thing that you felt like you could not get through. That's what you push through it. That's your brand. That's your purpose. That's what you're walking towards.
Now we know, let's talk about it. Let's be honest. You guys know hashtag real talk. So, hey, everybody, thank you for sharing in the broadcast. Hey, Michael and Sandra, I see you guys coming in. And we got Scotland in the house as well. Hey, Frazier. So, one of the things that we often think about is, guess what? In the beginning, when you're starting out, we think that the brand is all about the colors and the logo. Can I tell you that my colors that I started out with are not the colors I use now?
Right. That is correct.
Now, I went through a rebrand because I was going from being behind the screen, behind the scenes all the time to going in front. If somebody in the audience is in the process of saying, you know what, I don't really feel as though my brand represents me. I don't feel as though when I show up, people know exactly who I am. The three I always tell people is people should know who you are, who you serve, and how you serve. And no matter what you're doing, an interview, a live event, a book, that's always the three things that they should know. And somebody may be saying, well, I don't feel as though my brand really screams that to people when they come across my brand. What would you say is the top thing that they can kind of adjust to get it closer to what it is that they feel as though their brand should be saying?
They need to have what's called a brand promise. And the brand promise is, for those of you who may not know what a brand promise is, it's that promise that whatever you are going to accomplish for your client or for your customer, that's what you're going to be backing. Because as we say, it's how your customer and your client perceives you. And I know you keep listening to me say client and customer, one, because they're two different things. But you have to figure out what it is that you are trying to have them see about you. And your brand promise tells that. And she's talking about logos and slogans. That's your brand identity. That's what they're going to see. Everything has to be consistent across the board. So like my lettering, my fonts, all of that has the girly look. It has everything to it. Well, when you see me beat. I may not be as beat as you may think I should be today, but it's everything about me is going to have that girly glam look because that's me. That's my brand. I'm also teaching you about wealth and information and everything that surrounds my brand. That's my promise to you, is that I'm going to help you build a generational wealth. And I'm doing it with families. So everything around my brand is going to be based on my brand promise. So what you need to compile is you need to compile a brand promise. And first start off with 5 words that you would like your brand to be. Literally just 5 words. Take time out and figure out 5 words that your brand will represent. Then compile a brand promise based on those 5 words. And everything, I mean your colors, because get this, your brand colors can represent stuff to your customers and your clients. You have no idea, but your colors can represent, because like my colors are purple and pink. Well, I'm talking to females, so it's soft, that's the pink. But the purple is royalty. So I'm teaching you about money. I'm teaching you about generational wealth, and royalty, as you know, has money. So I'm drawing those factors in just from those colors. Everything across the board has to be the same. The way I speak to you has to be eloquent because I'm girly. Everything about it has to be the same. So take those 5 words, compile you a brand promise, and then go back and look at your company, look at your business, and see if your business is really being reflected by that brand promise. What is it that you are telling your customers and clients about your business from that brand promise?
And that's interesting because even when we look at restaurants, we look at big name companies, they all have that. They have a brand promise. And it's so funny because and y'all know I have Apple products, but some of my children have Android products.
Yes.
And it's interesting because I got to have this conversation with them and it opened their eyes. I said, I'm not team Android or team iPhone. I'm team phone, whatever's going to work.
That works.
That works. And what opened their eyes was a conversation we had when everybody found out that the iPhone X was actually Android, Samsung technology. Yes. I said, so every iPhone X that is sold, Samsung is making money. I said, that's how you understand what a business does. See, they have everybody who's buying the product saying Team Android or Team iPhone, but behind the scenes, they're in collaboration. Yeah. And I loved that because that was such a powerful message, because it made them, they stopped saying Team Android and Team iPhone, because they like, well, they working together, so it don't matter who you work for.
It's team
money. That's what they do.
Team phone that works. That's
right. They're doing team money. You got to understand. And as we look at these big name businesses that are going and collaborating together and networking together, we know that Google and Walmart have joint ranks and connected with each other, kind of to try to combat what's going on with Amazon. We know that Amazon bought Whole Foods, and you look at the fact that all of these wonderful things are going on, but a key element to your brand is networking and collaboration.
Yes, I'm glad you brought that up. I'm so glad you brought that up, because that is one of the things I preach daily. Everyone asks me, how can you brand when you have no money? Guess what you can do? Collaborate, co-brand. You can, and I preach this out. I don't want you to say, well, I done built my brand and now she wants to ride on my coattail. There are certain things that big brands cannot do that a small business can. So when you co-brand with someone who is larger than you, guess what's happening? Your brand is now being taken to that level of them, because they're going to have to say, well, I got it from XYZ. This is the company that I received this information from, or we bartered services on such and such. But networking, collaborating, co-branding, the easiest way for you to get your brand launched is by connecting with other people, other businesses. Find out that one or two things that their business cannot do, and you go ahead full force in there and knock that out for them, and watch how fast your brand grows. You don't even have to have money to do that. You can go in there, ask them, write up a proposal, say, I can do this for you. All I need is for you to place my logo on your website, or place my logo on your flyer, or whatever it is. Get your name out there just by collaborating.
It's funny. I love that, because that's something that also Gary Vee was talking about when he looks at, the people that have been working on his team before he blew up in all of this. He's like, this person is doing my video. I'm going to put him on, and that he's doing my video.
Yes.
And so that he's doing a good job because you see what he's doing with my stuff. They said, you can't say I want to be successful and I'm not going to have a team. I'm not going to have people that I collaborate with. It's me, myself, and I, because I can guarantee you there is no CEO today, none, that has become successful on their own.
Right, on their own. And I'm not sure if you ever heard the book Outliers. It preaches it. You cannot get there where you want to be on your own. It doesn't happen. You think we all have this sob story, and then all of a sudden we become successful. No, that's not the way it works. There's one person underneath us pushing us up. The other person is pushing us to the left, pushing us to the right, but we're all hands on. So everybody is moving and shaking at the same time, and we're all taking our brand to the level where we want to be. Now, I also preach this. Don't go to someone collaborating or trying to co-brand and you have nothing to offer. Do not do that, because you're going to be shot down. Have something to offer them. Do not just go in there and say, you know what? I want you to help me boost my brand. Go in there with something that you have researched. Take that time. The person that you want to collaborate with, research their brand. See what it is that they are missing that you can provide, and then go to them and see how fast they will allow you to latch onto them and boost your sales up. Do not go in there without having something to offer. Like I always say, you can't get anything for free. Nothing is for free. You have to offer something up, whether it's an investment or bartering, something you have to give in order to get something back.
Yeah, I think we've missed out on that part. A lot of, especially the generations now, it's like they're going back towards bartering. They're going back towards, okay, I can do this for you, you can do this for me. But it's the generations in between that we're all confused.
Right, right. That's very true. We feel the only thing that we can offer is money. That's not the truth. Because if my company can offer marketing services to someone who can provide virtual assistance to me, then hey, that's what we're going to barter. We're going to find something that each one of us need to link up and make our team stronger. Think about a SWOT analysis. I always say, even if you are a small business, you need a SWOT analysis. And SWOT means the strengths, the weaknesses, the opportunities, and the threats. What strengths do you have that you can offer someone else? What weaknesses do you have that someone else can come on in there and help you with? The opportunities that present themselves, bring those people on board with you. And the threats, the competition, by you having a strong team, you can knock those threats clean out the way.
So, and then I want to take it a step further, because as a brand, how important is it for you to know your weaknesses?
Yes. Very important. Very important, because you can't do everything on your own. You cannot do everything on your own. And I was one, speaking on experience, I was one who would be up till 4:00 in the morning trying to get stuff done, having to pop back up at 6, and I'm wearing myself down, and I'm wondering, why is my brand not growing? That's because I'm not allowing myself to bring someone else in that can help boost me, and I can focus on what I'm strong at. I'm strong at speaking. I'm strong at doing interviews. I'm strong at doing the marketing for my business. But one, I hate data entry. I hate having to do books. So I'm going to find somebody that can take care of that for me, so I'm not, all upset and frustrated whenever it's time to come in and do what I'm needing to do. So find someone that can fill your void.
I can definitely agree with you on that one. I was the one who it took 3 days to do a landing page. And by the time I was done, I didn't even want to promote the landing page.
I put it up. You done did all the legwork. There's nothing. And you find somebody else that specializes in land pages, get it done for you in 30 minutes. And then you like, really?
Exactly.
Not really take 3 days.
I was like, how did you do that in 30 minutes? And this is in 3 days. I was, looking at the colors, then the words didn't look right, all types of stuff. I was just like stressed out for 3 days. My kids was looking at me like, Mom, why don't you just get
somebody, Mama.
Like, please, Mama, please just get somebody to do that for you.
Yes.
But it's that's what we see now. And I often tell my clients, and this is a hack. I'll give you guys this. So if you haven't shared out the broadcast already, you might want to share this out because somebody may need this hack. This is a hack, is that oftentimes you're talking about you don't do technology and you don't do social media, and you have teenagers in your home who do technology and social media. You said you don't do technology, you don't do social media, but you are not too far from a college and can go and work with a college student who that's what they do. That's what they're going to school for. And then what do? You now become connected and collaborated. So now when that person is done their work for your business, you can give them a letter of recommendation. Look at what you just did.
Yes.
So that's a hack for all of y'all that didn't know. That was like, I don't know how I'm going to find somebody to do this. If I have to post one more thing, me and Mark going to fight. I can't stand all these changes. I can't stand all these changes. I don't know nothing about a snap or chat or nothing. Like, people are spazzing out. But the reality is you do one of two things. You either learn to do it or you find somebody that can. You find somebody that can. And so the biggest example of that has been, we see these different people and we're like, oh my goodness, they're blowing up on social media. They're doing an amazing job. But the reality is when you see DJ Khaled's video, is he holding the phone?
Right. Not at all.
When you see Gary Vaynerchuk's videos, is he holding the phone? You have some instances where it's them and they're holding the phone and they're talking directly to you. But you have some instances where, guys, they had someone who did the work for them. Gary V is not putting together those wonderful videos in his Insta stories.
Not anymore.
Not anymore, y'all. He tried it. He got somebody to do it for him. So understand that it's okay to not know how to do something. It's okay to not be comfortable in doing something. You find somebody that is comfortable that can definitely help you. And so this is my question that I ask everybody who comes on the platform is I say, in this journey, we have blunders, we have oopsies, we have mishaps. What has been a blunder for you in this journey so far?
Well, my first thing, and this is not me saying anything bad about publishing companies, because I truly believe if you can honestly afford to go with a publishing company, do that, because they have teams and everything for you. But there are so many other ways for you to get your knowledge out there that you don't have to spend money. And that's where my mistake was the first go round. I decided to spend money with a publishing company and my money didn't flow. I paid them more than I received. So second go round, I did self-publishing. I did everything myself. So the mishap that I would say as an author, even as a speaker, because it's easier for you to get someone else out there, get yourself out there, literally do self-publishing if you can, if you're trying to figure out how I can get my money without having to spend a large amount of money, because I preach on generational wealth. So if you don't have a lot of money in the beginning, do self-publishing. However, hire a trained and professional editor. Do not put your book out there with 1,000,001 grammatical errors. Please don't do that. And your word, everything can be the same, but if you put a comma in the wrong spot, I'm looking at how am I supposed to interpret what you're putting out there. Hire a professional editor. All of this is simple. You literally Fiverr, go on Upwork, find a professional editor to go that. All of those were my mishaps in the beginning because I trusted a publishing company to do all of this for me. Second go around, I knew all of that. I knew everything I was supposed to do. So if you are on a budget, but you have something that you definitely want to get out there, use Microsoft Word, Microsoft Office, type it up, put it in PDF form. Go ahead and find your self-publishing site, get it out there, Amazon, however you can get your book out there, do that. Because once you do that, you become that expert in your field. That's all a part of your brand. Then you can start speaking. It's not going to be paid in the beginning because everyone still has to know what you are about. But get out there, put your message out there, and from there, people are going to start hiring you. Like I told one of my friends before, I speak on this all the time, I'm literally at house parties that we have because we have a lot of gatherings at our house, and I'm getting emails nonstop about people that want me to speak at retreats, and they're telling me they're going to pay this amount for me to get there. But in the beginning, that didn't happen. I was on the computer trying to find hashtags and trying to find LinkedIn people for me to be able to speak. So you have to put in the work and make sure that you are ready and willing to do exactly what it's going to entail you to do in order to become successful.
So, I'm over here cracking them laughing because in the beginning, I tried to edit my own book. And I now when I talk to my clients, I tell them one of the first things I say to them is, don't you dare edit your book. Not while you writing it. Don't go back and try to edit it. Don't touch it. Just write it out, because we are our own worst critics and we end up chopping it up. And I always give the example that I love pineapples. I love pineapples. I can't cut a pineapple worth of nothing. Cutting pineapples I was not standing in the right line when God gave out the gifting of cutting pineapples. I was in the wrong line. I was probably in the cheesecake line or something along these lines. But I can't cut pineapples, but I love pineapples and I don't want to mess it up. So I get somebody else to do it for me because I've tried to do it before. And like, you know how people make those nice little cute squares and I didn't have squares. I had like chunks. It was horrible. It was a wreck. It was a disaster, y'all. Or I'm cutting it and like I'm throwing away big chunks of pineapple and it was horrible. So now everybody in the house knows, everybody in the family knows I am not to be able to cut the pineapple. I can cut watermelon, but I cannot cut pineapple. That's a no-go. And it has to be that same, level of, guess what? I'm talking about pineapple and that's cool and everything. But when it comes to your book, I'm telling you, you chop out so many things because what ends up happening is, and this is the mental that you go through, is you're battling back and forth between my perspective and my audience perspective.
Yes.
And I'm going to tell you, when you're going through your perspective, you chop up everything.
Yes.
Thinking that, they're not going to want that. They're going to think that's too much information. But the reality is the audience perspective is completely different.
You're taking away their nuggets, literally taking away their golden nuggets from them because that's something that someone needed that you just took away.
Exactly. It's so funny because Michael's in the comments. You guys know that we're live. We record live and then we upload the replays. But he said, I got my bucket scooping up these wisdom nuggets. So that's what it is. When you choose not to be transparent, when you choose to cut away things because you're saying, that's too much information. I don't want them to look at me any old type of way. Guess what? You just took away something that could have empowered somebody to write their book or to become the speaker.
Yes.
So I appreciate that. So I want to say thank you so much for coming on the broadcast with me today. I appreciate it. I love the conversation. And I want you to tell everybody how they can find you and connect with you and also how they can get your books.
Definitely. So again, if you are watching a replay, my name is Dannielle S. Lewis, also known as the Bankable Diva. I am located in Baton Rouge, Louisiana, but that does not stop me from being able to help you across the world because we are now connected via social media, internet, any kind of way that we can get in touch with each other, we can. But you can follow me on Instagram at Bankable_Diva, on Facebook at Bankable Divas with an S, Twitter at Bankable Diva. My website is www.bankableconsultants.com, or you can give me a call at 888-793-8868. And I look forward to speaking with you. If you have any issues with branding, marketing, anything that you need to help grow your business, we can definitely work with you on that.
And so we know that growing the business, it starts with your heart and your passion, but along the way, heart and passion are not going to take you to the finish line. We have to know that collaboration, networking, connecting, and this is one of the reasons why I love the Speakeasy podcast, because I get to bring people on that you may have never met before today, that you may have never heard, but they killing the game, but you have never heard their story. And so some of the stories may resonate really deeply with you when it comes to, trying to make this all happen as a single mother, with, trying to make this all happen. And you got the glitz and glitter on one side, but on the other side, it's like tombstones. And you're like, I got to make this work or I'm going to be over there. So, connect. I always encourage you guys to connect with the guests that come on. Her information, she'll come back and put her information in the comments. For those of you who are watching live, those of you who are watching the replay or listening to the replay, you guys know that in the description box, you will see all of her information so that way you can reach out to her and connect with her. Guys, if for no other time, now is the time. You can go ahead and think and talk about what you want to do, but the reality is there's no better time than right now for you to get started on making your business, making your brand, making your book or your speech a reality. So with that being said, if you are already a speaker or an author, I would love to have you on the platform. Or if you're currently in your speaker or author journey, I would love to have you on. If you go to bit.ly/speakeasy podcast, all lowercase, you can definitely pick a date for you to be a guest here on the Speakeasy podcast with me, your host, Hafiz, the voice coach, professional speaker, certified life coach, and Amazon bestselling author. And until next time, guys, don't forget to press it out. See ya.